Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Sharielle if you're new, and if you're returning, thank you for coming back. This is part 2 of Sex is Not Casual, and I have my 4 last points of why it's not after my intro. So the 5th reason why this is not casual is because of STDs and STIs. One thing I see all over social media and just people in general like to brag, like to talk about all the people they're sleeping with, all the things they're doing, all these positions, but nobody's talking about their clinical results. Nobody's talking about what goes on when they're peeing, how it burns. Nobody's talking about warts. These are things people aren't talking about, and they're very real. And this is making it a fantasy of the act, but not showing what goes down when you don't protect yourself.
Bro, I wake up and the tip of my is burning, and then I look at it, there's something coming out of it, it's pus. Bro, I just woke up. I had drunk like 2-3 days ago raw. I burnt myself, bro. I burnt myself. What the fuck was I doing? What the fuck was I thinking? I don't know. I just woke up. I don't even remember, bro. I'm completely celibate after this. I burnt myself. That's the first time I ever caught something. But hopefully it's nothing crazy. So that way, I gotta take this as a lesson and never do it again. This is what happens in a degenerate society. STDs all around.
People don't care. People are not going to protect themselves. They're not on BC, and they're just out here doing their thing. So obviously in 2020, the numbers dropped for different STDs and STIs, but now that people are back outside, they're skyrocketing.
Well, turning now to an important medical headline. Health officials just announced the concerning rise of STIs across the country, and experts say the rates show no sign of slowing down.
So let's bring in Dr. Darian again and break this down for us. What do we need to know about this public health issue?
In the past couple of days to months, we've seen increases specifically related before and after the pandemic. Recently, the CDC released reports that rates of chlamydia, gonorrhea, and syphilis have accelerated in terms of the amounts of positive tests that we're finding, and it's been the highest that we've seen in over 20 years.
Nobody's talking about who gave them something that they have to live with for the rest of their life. And the thing about it, you don't even have to be somebody who sleeps around. You could be with one person and get it from them because they've slept with somebody else. And that's the dangerous part.
So my ex gave me an STD 2 years ago, and I feel like a lot of people's first reactions are like, ew, that's disgusting. Like, why are you putting this on the internet, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, I feel like people should be talking about it more. That way people can learn from it and educate themselves and stuff. Because, I don't know, he cheated, obviously. And, you know, that's literally how I found out when the doctor called me and she was like, oh, yeah, you have it. And I was like, oh, okay. So then, like, you know, that's how I knew. But it sucks because a lot of these men will basically sleep around with literally whoever, and then it comes back to you.
Women are having their pH balance off. Women are having UTIs and all these different things because of people we're sleeping with. Your, you know what, down there has to be protected. This has to stop. People need to wake up and realize your body is a vessel. It should be protected. It is sacred. Nobody talks about the medication they have in their bathroom because they decided to sleep with somebody because they just wanted to. And this is not with judgment. I just want people to realize the severity of what can happen to your body, especially if it's undetected. A lot of people don't get tested, and when these things are untreated, you can affect being able to get pregnant. You can get cancer. You can have crazy things happen to your body because you are not keeping up with yourself and you're not protecting yourself with contraception, getting tested, making sure the other person is doing what they need to do, but also being abstinent. I don't know what's so hard about that. But of course, we're in a society where right is wrong and wrong is right. Nobody wants to get married. Nobody wants to wear protection. So everybody's out here spreading stuff to each other. And I was looking at this map of HIV, we'll call it that, and America is almost number one. I consider us number one because this particular chart that I saw, South Africa was high up there, in other countries. But the thing is, the technology, the medical advancements that we have in this country and access to them is beyond what these other countries have. So for us to have this access and this technology and our numbers still to be this high, that's a big problem. And that's why it's not casual. There's nothing casual about having to take meds. There's nothing casual about burning. There's nothing casual. And that's another sad part, is giving it to your baby that comes out of you after. That's another thing I learned when I was researching this stuff. And it's like, all from us wanting to have our body, our choice, just being out here. And now you're just vulnerable to this type of stuff, which could have totally been avoided. And this is not judgment to people who have these type of things. This is just real life. And I'm just seeing this act be celebrated, and nobody's talking about the L's they're taking because of what they're doing. And a lot of people, like I said, don't even know they have it because they're asymptomatic. That's another scary part, and that's another reason why you should be choosy, and really you shouldn't be doing anything unless you are married. And I don't care if I sound like a crazy Christian, but God's way is the best way, whether you want to admit it or not. And yes, I know people cheat in marriage, but if you're living the way you're supposed to, you're abiding by what God wants, you're not going to cheat on your spouse, and you're not going to catch anything. And I've seen it in real life, so I don't want to hear it. So the sixth reason why this is not casual is because of the emotional toll that this act takes on men and women. We're in a new era of feminism to where men are more feminine and women are more masculine. The tables have turned. And I'm seeing it to where women are trying to portray that they're not affected by who they sleep with and what that person or people do when they're not with them.
Okay, so I saw my stinky link in person, like in public. And I had been with my stinky link the entire week. And his boys had called him and was like, get a haircut, blah, blah, blah. So like, we gonna go out on Saturday. So I knew when I left on Friday, I was gonna see him because like, he gonna be with his boys. So anyway, I go downtown with my sisters on 6th Street, and I happen to glance, ain't he there? And immediately I go the other way. Because I'm like, oh my God. But also, I know that you only down here because you just got a haircut and you look for the. But I can't even be mad because I'm in a Skims dress down on the same damn street looking for the same. So I couldn't even be mad. But at the same time, who this for? You better. Never mind.
And it's just a total lie. A lot of women that I see that sleep around, there's usually a root to it. Something traumatic happened to them when they were younger, or they're searching for something, or they're trying to prove a point or rebel against their family, or just religion, Christianity in general. And the thing is, when you sleep with so many people, whether people want to realize it or not, it takes a piece out of you every single time. I truly believe when you have intercourse with somebody, it's on every level. It's emotional, it's physical, it's spiritual, which is one of the biggest ones that people don't realize, and it's also mental. And these images of that person will never get out of your head. These exchanges you've had, you can never erase, for good or for bad. And just, you have that connection to them now, to where nobody wants to admit. If you see somebody in public that you slept with, your heart might drop. You're like, oh, because you're now spiritually tied to them. I know people would be like, it's not that deep. It is that deep. And when you give yourself, you give your body, men and women, to so many people, you can become emotionally wrecked. Your mind's all over the place. You're wayward. You're double-minded, which means you're trying to do this and you're trying to do that. You just can't. You have no clarity. And especially if you're struggling with the addiction of it, you're trying to fight all these emotions and feelings with doing it more and doing it again to get your mind off of it, but you're just creating the same cycle. And the scary thing is, when you actually sleep with somebody that you do care about, that you are hoping that will be exclusively with you, it now clouds your judgment about their true character because you've already crossed that line. A lot of girls and a lot of guys are with people that are not good people, or they have traits that are terrible that they ignore because they're sleeping with them. You'll see a guy who's dealing with a girl that's psychotic or with an attitude or anger problem and be like, bro, why are you with her? Because she's laying it down on him. So he's not thinking her temper is that big of a deal. We can move forward, we can have a kid, and now you have a crazy BM. You have a crazy baby mother. It's the same thing with women. Women are sleeping with men that are fishy, liars, sneaky, disrespectful. And they stay with them because their judgment is clouded, or someone who's lazy, someone who's not of their word, but you dismiss it because you're sleeping with them, so it's not a big deal. But if you take sleeping with them away, you'll see them for who they truly are, because you no longer have that band-aid, that mask of intercourse blocking you from seeing who they really are. Because most of the time you would leave. You're like, I'm not putting up with this. Yeah, but you are putting up with it because you're sleeping with them. Sex is powerful. Intercourse is powerful. It changes your whole entire makeup. Everything, your whole brain is jacked up when you start doing stuff like that. And that's what I'm saying, the emotional toll it takes, because now you're with this person you're not supposed to be with, and you're getting treatment and getting talked to a certain way, the way you shouldn't be, but you're accepting it. So now it's emotionally bringing you down. It's emotionally changing what you accept, because you want to keep sleeping with them. And now your whole view of relationships is totally off. It's honestly toxic, and you're settling. And another emotional toll, like I said, even if you're not sleeping around with a bunch of people to where it's making you chaotic inwardly, it's just dealing with somebody that you're not really with in a situationship. I talked about this a little bit with the drama aspect, but when you're giving yourself to somebody, especially as a woman, and you're not getting that commitment from them, that one-on-one exclusivity, that does affect your self-esteem. You're like, I'm doing this and that for him, and he's not making it official. What's going on? What's wrong with me? Then you start seeing the other girls he deals with, and then you're comparing yourself to her. Then you're trying to get lip fillers to get your lips big like her, or you're trying to change your body to look like her body, change your hair color to be more like her and the other girls he's with. Emotionally all over the place, because you're trying to compete for somebody that you're laying with who isn't exclusive with you, when you shouldn't be sleeping with them in the first place. And now you say all men cheat, all men don't commit, all men are this, all men are that, but you were the one willing to give it up so easy. And my 7th point for why this is not casual, because it affects relationships and commitment. I've seen this time and time again, and this is all across the board, all races. When you are with somebody and you guys are doing it, you guys been together for years and you move in together, the man is going to drag his feet when it comes to marrying you. I know marriage is not everybody's goal, so you don't need to put it in my comments. I get it. Some of you guys don't want it. But for the women that want marriage, if you are giving the cookie up, if you're moving in, if you're playing wifey, cooking, washing his dirty underwear, cleaning up, doing all that, you're his emergency contact. It's not going to be an emergency for him to buy that ring. I'm going to tell you right now. It makes men drag their feet. It makes them second guess marriage. Do we even need to do this? It doesn't really matter. We're already together, etc., etc.
Fine, baby Gina, your little plan worked.
What are you talking about, Martin?
You plotted and you schemed and clank, clank. Gina, I will marry you. Damn. I mean, are you happy now?
That was beautiful. That was the proposal I've been dreaming about all my life. Now, if you'll excuse me, I got a plane to catch.
Come on.
Now let's talk about men. Those of you that like to sleep around. A lot of men, when they sleep with a lot of women, it makes it harder for them to commit to one woman most of the time. Sometimes it's a phase. You know, some men are in competition with their other friends, seeing who can get the most girls. That's younger, like teenage and college days. But when you're a man that's used to variety, you with Britney on Wednesday, then you're with Sarah on Saturday, then on Monday you're back with Meagan. You don't want to have just one girl. You want to taste the rainbow. You just do. And you're feeding that sexual appetite, that addiction, to the point where you might even really like a girl and you really do want to be with her, but you can't because you're afraid of what you'll miss out on if you commit to her exclusively. And that's why I said it affects commitment, because not only does it affect marriage, it affects just staying with one woman. And it could be the same thing with women. Certain women, they've been with certain men that have certain things, and they're like, oh, this guy don't have that, I can't be with him, I need something like that size, this or that. And it's hard for you to commit to one man because men are too fine. I can't be tied down, because you had a lot of experiences. And that's the thing people don't realize, the more people you sleep with, the more memories, the more interactions, the more positions, the more everything, to the point where settling down with one person is harder, because you want them to do what this person was doing this way at this time of day, this temperature, and that person can't do that for you. And that's why the more people you have sex with, just naturally, it's our human nature to compare. So the person you're trying to just be with only, you're gonna compare them in that way sexually to what you've had before. And that girl may never be able to do what you had with Yoritza. She can't do that. That's what I'm saying. Again, even if you dated different races, you dated a Spanish girl, she talking to you in Spanish, then you dating a Middle Eastern girl, then you dating a black girl, then you dating a white girl. You've had too many things going on. It may be harder to settle down. And that's when you end up seeing men that are single at 40, single at 45, 50, because they're too afraid to commit because they feel like they're missing out. And that's just so sad, because the grass is not greener. When you have one person, you build your experiences with them, you build what you like with them, the chemistry, and you should be fine. But when we always are sleeping around, it's harder to do that. And this is when it can also veer into polygamy. When you've been with so many people, you're like, I really can't just be with one person. We might as well just try to add on another person so I could be with you. And then you just add on another person, and then you realize it doesn't matter how many people you're with at once, you're the problem because you've had too many partners, and now you need help, you need deliverance. And my last point with how it affects relationships when you sleep around casually is that it can twist your brain of how all men or all women are, so you don't even want to commit to anybody because you feel like they're going to hurt you. A lot of people have scars, not even from committed relationships, it's from situationships. A lot of women don't trust men, a lot of men don't trust women, a lot of people are paranoid, a lot of people just, they gave their all to somebody and it just didn't work out. And it's usually because you put too much dip on your chip. If you're not exclusive with somebody, why are you giving them all your time, all your body, all your energy? Like, that's for your one person, and it's like this precursor of all the people you've been with, and now you could get somebody that is good for you, who's a good person, but you're so traumatized, you're so scarred from previous relationships that were casual, where you're doing, wifey hubby things or just boyfriend girlfriend things, and you played yourself ultimately, and now you just see relationships as something that's pointless, or it's almost impossible to be successful at, and that's just a sad place, because it is possible to find somebody who loves you and just wants to be with you and committed to you. So that's how I feel it affects relationships when you casually sleep around. And I'll get into my last point, which is going to be controversial because people don't like to admit this, but the reason this is not casual is because it affects your reputation. Nowadays, people do not care about their reputation. You see it with what they post. You see it with how they speak. They spread their own business on and off social media, and just how they portray themselves. People act like they don't care what people think of them. They sleep with whoever, however. And as a woman, no matter what, double standards do exist. I know people hate that, but it's the truth. Men can get away with things women can't. And don't get me wrong, men do get judged for sleeping around all the time. They definitely have that reputation. They're called a womanizer Or some people do call them, you know, a man whore, or they get called a dog. But most of the time, a man can get a good woman and settle down later on in life, even after having been a dog. But for women, it's way harder to have a man commit to you who actually loves you for you when you've had that type of past.
I've lost my whole family and it sucks. So a lot of times when people ask me if they should do, I tell them no. I tell them that it makes life really hard. It makes dating really hard. It makes your family life really hard. You're putting yourself out there and the world is now judging you. You have to be okay with being shamed every day of your life. I don't even want to have children because I'm worried of the way that people will treat my child. I'm not allowed to go visit my dad anymore because my stepmom doesn't like that I do porn. But then he told me that when I was like, can we like go get coffee and like we could go like get breakfast, and he's like, I don't want to be seen in public with you. And that just hurt so bad.
It makes it harder. And I know a lot of women act like they don't care. I don't want marriage anyway. I don't want a man to be with me anyway. I have my cats, I have my dog, I'll die alone, I'm okay. But it is lonely. It's hard to do life by yourself. I don't care what anybody says. It's better with a partner. We're supposed to do this together. We're supposed to be a team, husband and wife. And I just couldn't imagine my reputation being bad, and that's what stops me from having the love of my life, because men don't want to be embarrassed. For a man, your wife has to be somebody you can really be proud of, somebody that doesn't embarrass you, somebody that is just precious. When a man really loves you, he sees you as precious. And when he doesn't see you in that light because you've done certain things, it's almost impossible for him to ever see you that way, and for him to ever truly commit to you, to want to be with you forever. So reputation is a huge thing. You don't want to be around town having that type of rep. I don't care what people say. It's better to have a clean reputation, because the thing about your reputation, once it's messed up, once it's ruined, there's nothing you can do about it. That's one thing that's irreversible, unless you move to a whole nother state, town, or country. But most of the time, when you have to stay where you are and your reputation is messed up, that is a stain on it forever. So if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. If you'd like to see more from me, subscribe to my channel and click that bell notification to be notified whenever I post. Share this with your friends, and thank you for watching. You are appreciated.